Good afternoon, and welcome to Success. Success starts here at Columbia State. Today is Thursday, April 24th, 2025. We are here at Columbia State Community College, Tennessee's first community college established in 1966. Our president of the college is Dr. Janet Smith. Welcome to the Spring 2025 Lunch and Learn Career Industry Podcast Series, episode number 7 of a 7-part series, hosted by the Career, Veteran, and Transfer Center in the Student Services Division. This event is co-sponsored by Republic Bank and Trust and the Charger Pathway Impact Program, funded through the Rural, Post-Secondary, and Economic Development Grant. We would like to thank our lunch partners, Co-Works Coffee, Cabin Coffee, Subway, Boot Stumpin' Barbecue of Columbia, and today's lunch partner, Chick-fil-A. I am your host, Frida Leslie Pillow, coordinator of the CVT Center here at Columbia State. We will have a very exciting discussion with our guest panelists today on the topic of careers in business and technology. This podcast series is being presented to provide listeners with choice of major guidance and to inspire your career. We want listeners to explore career paths, understand industry trends, including anticipated impact of artificial intelligence. As a listener, we want you to know that classroom instruction and the body of knowledge provided by Columbia State can develop you now for future workforce opportunities. Today, we will also tie in the importance of the 7 core competencies of general education as defined by the Tennessee Board of Regents and employers globally. Whatever your next moves, know that Columbia State is the right institution to build a solid foundation for your future. Today, our co-hosts will ask questions to each of our panelists, and if time permits, at the end, we will allow the participating audience to ask questions at the end of the program. Today, we have our co-sponsor here who will introduce himself, and then each of our panelists will also provide a self-introduction. So with a round of applause, let's welcome our co-hosts and guest panelists.
Thank you, Frida. My name is Mehran Mustajir. I'm the Dean for Business and Technology. And with me, I've got the Fantastic Four. I'm going to introduce them. Ms. Keandra Taylor. You can actually go ahead and introduce yourself more. I'm just going to give your name. With Wilson Bank and Trust. And Mr. Jake Langston with Columbia Machine Work. Ms. Julie Wick with Landmark Ceramics. And Ms. Shab Amin Madani with MRCO. And I'm just going to I'm going to ask the question, but before when I ask the question, you guys can just tell a little bit about yourself before you start. So, my very first question is going to be, just walk me through about your experience, your industry, and your career journey, if you don't mind. And any of you can, by the way, start so that doesn't happen.
I guess since I'm sitting next to you, I'll go first. But
Okay.
like Doctor said, my name is Keandra Taylor. I am with Wilson Bank and Trust, where I am an assistant office manager there. Just a little bit of background in my career. So I started off as a bank teller here in Columbia at U.S. Bank, and the craziest way of how I got into banking was by door-to-door sales for AT&T. So I knocked on a branch manager door and gave her all the benefits and features of how AT&T could help her in her future. And she was like, I would rather you come work for me. And I said, okay, I guess I'll do that since you're going to pay me more. So that's how I got into banking, honestly. And during that time, I was also a student at Columbia State as well. while I was working during the day, it was hard for me to also go to school during the day as well. I didn't realize that I had night school options during that time. But I decided to go a little further in my financial career and work for Advance Financial, which a lot of y'all are probably familiar with that company. Probably, if not, then you know, because they're almost on like every corner that you could think of in Columbia. But I didn't really like their style of getting to help people financially, and so I wanted to go further in my career of in the financial industry by getting back into banking, but helping people who were in underserved communities with financial literacy. And so I did that while I was at Ascend Federal Credit Union and also First Horizon Bank, where I was a relationship manager. During that time is whenever I actually met Robin Hendricks and then also Dr. Moran. I want to make sure I'm saying the right, Moran.
Good.
Okay, great. And so with that, I've been able to help a lot of students at Columbia State with financial wellness, and then also serve on numerous boards in Williamson County with helping Black businesses and women in business as well with their business on the financial side, and just getting to promote their business online and so forth. And now I have transitioned to a new role as an assistant manager for Wilson Bank and Trust. And I almost left out the part. I'm also a student. Well, I was a student here at Columbia State. I graduated with my associate's degree in philosophy. So yeah, it's good to be back home.
Hello, I'm Jake Langston. I'm the vice president at Columbia Machine Works. We're a manufacturer here in Columbia, Tennessee. We're nearly a 100-year-old family-owned business, and I'm the vice president, which means I'm the owner's son. I'm born and raised here in Columbia. I went to Columbia Central High School. Then I moved on to MTSU, thought I wanted to be an attorney, did all my political science stuff, took the LSAT, got into Memphis School of Law, and then I worked for my dad in the summer of 2017 and decided I wanted to join him in the business. Really fell in love in manufacturing, and I want to advance manufacturing here in our community. And I'm very thankful for the college and Moran for allowing me to be here today and for what you do to allow me to, again, just champion manufacturing here in Murray County in Middle Tennessee.
Hello, my name is Julie Veek. I am the HR manager for Landmark Ceramics right here in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. We are an Italian-owned tile manufacturer. So our group has 13 facilities around the world. We're the only one in North America. We make high-end porcelain tile. My career has had a lot of twists and turns, if you will, but how I got into human resources is I went to work for a call center, and I had an orientation that took a week. And the group that did the orientation just looked like they were having so much fun. They really enjoyed their jobs. And I thought, well, I want to love my job too. I want to do that. So in that company, I just watched until there was a job opening and there was an HR file clerk position open, and I applied and I got it. And here I am 25 years later. And I've started up 3 businesses here in Murray County since 2007. My HR career kind of took a little spin where startups became my niche. But Landmark is my last and final startup, but my only greenfield. So, I went to the University of Michigan Dearborn, decided I needed my independence, ran down to Tennessee to get away from my parents, and started to work in a factory because I had to eat, right? So yeah, and then here I am. So my team takes care of the entire United States for our group. So while we only have one manufacturing facility in North America, our group imports and sells under some of their European manufacturers as well. And my team handles all of those businesses.
Hi, I'm Shab. I'm in Madani, and I work for MRCO. We are actually a local franchise of Taco Bell's. So we have about 88 stores in 3 states. We do have 2 and 1 on the way in Columbia. So do frequent that. And if you have any questions about it afterwards, I'll be here to wait if you have any questions about working for a pretty dynamic company. So my career started in the tech industry. I worked at a place called Aspect Communications and I installed software. I worked at a call center. And probably 3 years into 4 or 5 years into that career back in 2004, my dad and his partner basically were like, hey, do you want to come into the family business? And the family business was these Taco Bell franchises. And they started earlier as Pizza Hut franchises and had transitioned to Taco Bell in about the 80s. And so I said, well, I'll never know if I like it if I don't try it, right? That's going to be one of my advice. Don't be afraid to try something new, even if you don't know. I was like, well, I told him this is not a really good business decision. At the time I was halfway through an MBA and that was it, right? That was my only HR experience. They're like, well, we need an HR admin because our HR admin is leaving. And I thought, well, I don't know. I troubleshoot computers right now. Maybe I can help troubleshoot, right? So I started as a benefit manager back in 2004. So I handled just the benefits of the company and then have since then, at the time, it was one person HR. And now I have a team of 4 of us in human resources, 3 in payroll. And so we've grown to a big seven team overall. And no, just having fun every day. You can imagine, that there's never a dull day in the fast food industry and in HR in general. But
Well,
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. My first question, second question, I should say, how have the career opportunities evolved in the field that you guys are in? And what do you think emerges roles for the students that, they should be aware of today? What kind of role do you think that's going to come out that you guys can help them with?
I guess I'll go first again, right? Next time, y'all got to go first. So I would say in banking, whenever I first started, if you walked into a financial center, every office was filled. You had someone there at all the time on demand. So if you needed to talk to someone about a mortgage, they were always there. If you needed to speak to someone about opening an account, you had a banker there. But now whenever you walk into a financial institution, you don't really see a lot of people there. A lot of people work virtually now. So there's more remote jobs available. Another one is the job responsibilities. That's a big difference from whenever I first started to now. Over the last decade, the responsibilities for tellers and bankers were only transactional. So you did like your deposits, you did your withdrawals, you did your cashing the checks, and then you went home and that was it. But now the roles for bankers and tellers are where you have to build relationships with your community. You actually have to be willing to do financial planning with any of your clients that come in. So that's progressed for a lot of people and it's required them to gain more communication skills as well. Another thing is digital platform. The digital banking was not required, or well, it was not really a want or a need for most people. Most people didn't have online banking. Now it's where that's a requirement. Like, how many of y'all have digital banking? If you have a bank account, yeah, you want to see your online banking, right? Most people will not bank with you if they don't have online banking. So that's another thing that's changed over the years.
So, when my dad started out in manufacturing back in the 70s, 1 out of every 4 people in the United States worked in manufacturing. And now I think that number is around 8%. But the needs of manufacturing are still growing, probably more so than ever with what you're seeing in the news with tariffs and reshoring. We're bringing a lot of manufacturing back to the United States that got shipped overseas the past couple decades. So there's a lot of opportunity to go into manufacturing. And really, when I was coming up, like in high school, it was never really a career option that was discussed very much. But I think you're starting to see that change. And definitely, I think the average age of our workforce at Columbia Machine Works is 45, something like that. So you can imagine in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to have a lot of folks retire, and we're trying to bring up that next crop of that new generation. And manufacturing is not what you probably think it is. that you hear just around. It's very highly technological. What we do every day is, cutting edge technology. We're getting ready to buy a piece of equipment that you hold it in your hand. It's a laser scanner. So I could scan this table right here. It imports it into a computer, and it's a 3D model of that table. We can use that model to build it if we wanted to. So there's some really exciting opportunities in manufacturing. So
Jake, can I clone myself using that device, or that's just for device?
yeah, I'm definitely going to try to police it for work appropriate use. But
3D printed version.
yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned 3D printing. Something else that is, that's the frontier of manufacturing right now. And I know you are starting to do some of that in what you do, Moran. So there's a lot of, it's not just, I mean, it is still a very, a dirty hands-on industry, but it's also a lot of cutting edge technology involved too.
Yeah, I'm going to speak from two perspectives. I'll speak from the HR perspective in the sense that today, where HR is so different from when I started 25 years ago. HR is huge now, and so much part of the business and the business strategy and the planning, that HR is no longer just transactional. We're not just doing paperwork and paying, getting people paid and processing benefits and things like that. We're actually strategically part of the business now. So HR encompasses the corporate culture, training, compliance. I mean, you can branch into specialties in HR if you want to. You can stay broad if you want to. So the positions themselves have changed and grown and become so much more important than they were probably viewed 25 years ago. Now, to just kind of build on what you talked about from industry and manufacturing, the days of manufacturing being I put a widget in and push a button and it does whatever and spits out are kind of over. Manufacturing has evolved so far from where it started, in the sense that the amount of project planning, research and development, scientific research that happens now in manufacturing, you would be amazed. So what I would encourage you to do is maybe not completely say manufacturing is not where I want to go, because we think, oh, manufacturing, you go there when you can't do something else, right? But actually manufacturing, there's a lot of steady growth in manufacturing. You can start as a widget maker and end up being, a research and development design engineer if you want to. There is no ceiling in that anymore. And there's just anything you can think of, especially with a company like, if I use Landmark as an example, we are the entire corporation. So I have my corporate office right across the parking lot. I've got our warehouse and distribution center. Then we've got our manufacturing. So it is the full nuts and bolts. The CEO, the CFO, and the CEO sit in our building with us. Business control, business development, marketing, accounting, all of that happens right there on our campus. So manufacturing is not just, I make this thing. It is the entire gambit of business. So that I think that.
And I wanted to echo, I mean, all ditto quotes, all the HR stuff, right? Because that is the same no matter what industry. It has changed a lot. We have access to AI in HR where employees can have an intranet and they can type in a search bar now and say PTO, and up pops, all of the page from the employee handbook for the PTO policy. Like, we're using, we're advancing a lot. Information is more readily available. You don't have to pick up the phone and call someone to get something that you need anymore. You can be a little bit more proactive and find the answer yourself. But from a hospitality standpoint, it's changing a lot, right? Right now we're using digital, right? You're going to Taco Bell. You're not going through the drive-through. You're going on your mobile app, and on Tuesdays at 4:00, you're seeing what the Tuesday drop is to see what free item you can get today if you're one of the top 100,000 folks to to request it, but it's evolving. Technology is big, and you don't always think about it, but even in the restaurants, technology is huge because now you've got, technology that shows you which orders. You've got the third-party delivery services, and you've got to know, okay, you've got a technology that says, okay, that driver's in range, start making that food. And we've got all this technology that tells us which order are we supposed to work on and all of those things. And, the one thing that I always, like you said, don't discount manufacturing, don't discount hospitality, don't discount that first fast food job. If you've, even if you just need the extra cash, don't just go in for the paycheck, go in and learn all you can from that setting, because there's so much you can learn from that environment, more than just taking home a paycheck. And especially if they offer like education, free education and free classes that they'll reimburse you for and stuff, then, take advantage of all that you can and make it be a stepping stone if it's not your ultimate. But don't discount the career, because the career is also available. I have manager. She started at 16 when she was in a Taco Bell, and now she's gone from an area from a 16-year-old team member to a shift manager to an assistant manager to a general manager, and then an area coach, and is now our training director for the company. So, don't always have your mind open for that too.
Actually, what you just said leads me to the next question, because you talked
does.
about artificial intelligence, and actually that's what I want to find out. How did the AI has transformed your industry, and what can the students do to be ready for it? We go with, let's go let Jake, let's go. Oh, you got it, okay.
I have a pretty, what I would say, spirited view on AI. I think if you're a student, if you've been in your career for 30 years, just starting out in your career, no matter where you are in your life right now, I think you need to be learning how to use AI. And I think it's going to give you a way to boost your productivity above the person next to you that's not doing that. I think it's going to transform our planet in ways we can't even imagine. But I use it every day. I use it like an executive assistant, like I was using it yesterday. I have our entire payroll. I can import it in a Chat GPT, and when somebody is due for a raise, I can benchmark his position with businesses around us to see if we're in the ballpark on pay. And then I can, he's telling me, the Chat GPT is telling me in real time if the raise I'm giving is what it needs to be. Am I in the market? How is it going to affect our bottom line? All these things. And I really just a couple years ago did not have that option. So we're just scratching the surface right now with what artificial intelligence capabilities are. But if you're a young person, I would highly recommend just when you have free time, just start messing with it, see what you can do to help boost your productivity and your education, for sure.
So with AI overall in banking, it's helped with a lot of the systems that we use. A lot of them are powered by AI technology and software, which has helped with fraud prevention and accuracy as well. And also with credit scoring, that's a big one too. So with some of the systems, like it would take us days to find out your actual credit score, or like if someone came in with like a bad check, if it was actual fraud or not. But now we're able to find that immediately. Now, on a personal standpoint, just within my role, I use it for mass communication emails. Like you said, it's like an executive assistant for me. It's helped me with even with prospecting. So I have a targeted audience that I have to cater to as well. And I want to know their statistics, like what are they looking for? What are they hungry for in this during this season? And so I ask those questions. That way, whenever I do have those conversations with them, I'm going in the room as, I can speak to them about certain things that they're passionate about. So like you said as well, if that's something that you have at your fingertips, which we all have AI, we have knowledge at our fingertips. We need to take advantage of that and use that to help us within our career.
In our case, it's helped with the knowledge. One of the things that I use AI for right now is we've got these surveys that get sent out to employees by text. And there's an AI system behind that will compartmentalize the different subjects. Like this one this comment dealt with work environment. So I can a lot quickly, I can see it faster that there might be the trend of maybe a different culture, like a culture that we don't want in that particular store. Maybe they've got high turnover, or maybe they've got, their orientation process isn't as thorough. Maybe they're not getting enough training. And by pushing out these surveys to text messages, I can get summaries of all of these surveys and know a lot faster, maybe before it becomes an issue where I start losing folks, right? Before folks are turning. So AI really comes in handy in those places. As far as using AI, we're not losing team members yet, because I know the fear is AI is going to start taking our jobs, right? Some fast food places are starting to use some AI at the drive-through so that maybe we need one fewer person at the drive-through. We haven't taken on that piece of it yet. There are some Taco Bells testing it, but I still think right now people who come into a restaurant, they still want the human aspect, right? They don't want you don't want to walk into a restaurant if you want to communicate with someone and they say, oh, go order from the kiosk, please, right? If there's a whole generation that doesn't want to do that yet, right? They don't want to be sent to the kiosk. They want to come interact with you, maybe ask you what your favorite item on the menu is, or is there a possibility that I can substitute this item for that item? So I think we're not as close to that in the fast food business as technology taking away jobs like that. We're always going to need the folks who have the hospitality. And I think we're steering back toward that. I think in the last few years, I've seen a trend where it's always been, okay, it's just transactional. You're either doing it on your mobile phone or in the kiosk. But I think we're trying to circle back and make sure we're taking care of the customer there too.
I think for us, I don't see AI as a replacement of the people. It's a tool to help with the analysis and the job itself. But I think the people will always be necessary. We would use it more in our marketing, business development, for maybe finding better ways to go to market, finding more unique customers to take the product to market. We're not business to consumer, we're business to business. So for me, I just don't see it kind of taking manufacturing over because we're already a highly automated facility. It's just more of the analysis and kind of the back office and planning where AI would really help with us.
You actually said something important because it's a tool and it's just supposed to enhance what you're doing. And you're absolutely correct. This is not, many people are scared of thinking, oh, it's going to come and my job is not going to be available anymore. And I always said it's always something else comes up. It's just a tool. Just to go on to that one, from your perspective, how are industry expectations are shifting in what can students do to prepare themselves for these changes?
I can start this one. So I think in manufacturing, it's really important to understand that the days of being able to do one thing or being one thing are kind of over. When my parents were in school, you could go to school to be a welder or a fabricator or a mechanic or something, right? And then you went and you did that job and that's what you did until you transferred into something else. Well, I feel like, especially in manufacturing, the expectation now is you have to be a little more well-rounded. So I use maintenance people as my example. You can be the best mechanic in the world, but because we are fully automated, you need to learn the other side. You need to at least be familiar with what a PLC is, what's a proc sensor, what's a limit switch, different things like that. You might not need to learn to program it, but you at least need to understand it and have a basic of it. It's not to say that you can't get a job if you kind of stay very, very specialized. But when things get tough, and industry has to tighten the belt a little bit, it's the people who can do more than one thing are the people who tend to be more successful. And what you want to do is you want to start your career really wide, where I'm learning to do all of these things. And then when you're like us and you're an old hat, that's when you start to specialize, because you figure out what you like, you figure out what you're good at, you figure out where the need is. You specialize more later in your career, not in the beginning. So I think you have to be prepared to be asked to do more than make the widget, right? You might have to clean, you might have to, hey, there's some paperwork. Hey, would you like to learn how to do this computer program, because our line doesn't have anybody that can do that. So my advice would be just be prepared to do things outside of what you specifically want to do. Accounting is another thing. The task of accounting is so big now that being an accountant is not just like one thing. Oh, I just do taxes, or I just do this. It's a huge field now. So again, that's another thing where you just want to be prepared for the job to be much bigger than you expect it to be.
Yep. Wow. I'll go next with that. I feel like as far as the experience, there's a lower expectation for that now. You don't have to, that's just to get your foot into banking. You don't have to have tons of experience in any financial aspect to get into banking. But if you're wanting to be anything outside of entry level, so anything other than a banker or a teller, then you definitely need some more experience, which education would also go into place with that as well. Any management position that I've ever been granted or seen before in the banking industry, they do require at least 2 years of education, whether that is within the financial industry or not. I mean, my degree is in philosophy, which doesn't go with banking at all or finance at all whatsoever. Another thing is like with just to get into banking or into the financial industry, you got to have good customer service skills, and exceptional customer service skills is actually a plus, meaning communication, being able to speak with people, having those conversations. I think COVID kind of hindered a lot of people with having conversations where we're kind of, isolated, and we don't want to make those extra steps to have those conversations with people in our everyday work life. But that's something that we require is customer service as well. But yeah, that's pretty much in banking. In banking, it's really easy. Everything can be taught to you. As long as you have an open mind and the ability to learn. And if you're wanting to go further than just entry level and work in management, you do need education.
I can go to the next question if you guys. Go ahead.
There's one little thing I would say there. Definitely in our part of the manufacturing sector, you're seeing a generation shift, a demographic shift from, again, I can't emphasize enough how the older generation is starting to retire out, and there's a desperate need for young people to go into manufacturing because these jobs are not going away. And we're seeing some folks starting right out of high school and moving up the ranks, I think much quicker than you'd see in the past. If you can pick up and learn the trades, learn quick, do a good job, you can be making some really good money just a few years out of high school. So we're seeing this shift from manufacturing jobs being hard to acquire in the past. It takes a long time to get up to a mid-level to even upper-level position, to now I got guys that can't even go out and buy a beer at a gas station, but they're, production lead on some pretty big projects. So that's the huge shift that we're seeing.
Soft skills, as you may be aware, is such a huge thing. I always hear it from the industry, from you guys. If you can just tell me maybe 1 or 2 soft skills that you kind of look for when you want to hire somebody.
I can start with that one. I mean, hospitality, right? Just that warm, that hospitality feeling that you can communicate with folks. I look really for communication and to be able to deal deal with people. The first place I worked for was a tech company. You know, they didn't hire computer people. I had one coworker who she would pat the monitor and said, "My computer's not working." I'm like, "Honey, that's not your computer. That's just your monitor." So she had zero technical knowledge. They hired the people with the customer service skills, and then they would teach the technical to them. So really it's that customer service, right? It's that feeling of you wanting to, if you're looking for a service industry, and really, you know, any industry you go to, right? You want to be able to have that communication, that ability to communicate with folks and have that customer service aspect. That's my big one.
Yeah, absolutely. So every company has its own culture. They speak their own language. They have a way that they operate. There are things that are acceptable in some companies that are not acceptable in other companies. And that's an important thing. So from a soft skill perspective, it's about, you can be the best at a job that there is, but if you're like throwing a hand grenade into the team, you're not going to be successful, or I'm not going to be able to hire you because I can just tell, okay, personality wise, I can't implode a team of 15 people because I put the wrong personality with them. So it's the ability to adapt and to step back for a second and come into an environment and understand that you don't speak the language, you don't know the culture, and you can be a PhD, but when you come to my building, you don't know where the bathroom is. You need me, right? So you have to know that. You have to know what you don't know. Another thing, this is really weird. It's not a soft skill and it's not a technical skill, but it's a skill that I am so surprised how many people struggle with this. Learn to take good notes. Okay. I can tell you right now, the most successful people I know are just good note takers. Just take some good notes, even if it's I have my own version of shorthand. No one else can read my notes, but that doesn't matter because they're for me, right? Learn to take notes, find your own way, but it's another really important skill you got to have. The other thing I would say is, if you're a person who can't put your cell phone down right now, okay? And I know it's a real thing, that it's a real problem, even for people, no matter what age. Start breaking yourself of that habit right now, because especially as a new hire, as a new employee, you know, executives are going to walk through every office. They're going to always be around. And if you have your phone in your face and it's not part of your job to have your phone in your face, it's going to hinder your upward mobility. So you've got to wean yourself off of that thing now. You know, you've got to teach your friends. I'm at work. I can't text you back in 5 minutes. Your girlfriend, your boyfriend, that kind of thing. Your mom, you have to tell your mom, I'm at work right now. I can't. Because especially in our environment, not only is it rude, but it's dangerous. You can get hurt by not paying attention in an industrial environment. So I would just say, start weaning yourself off of it now.
And can I give you a tip on that? So this is, if you can set your triple click on your phone to black and white. If your phone is in black and white, those shiny apps aren't as drawing. And that's one way that you can start to use your phone less. So that's something that a trick I use. Because you know, even we up here, well, I even have a problem sometimes putting my phone down.
To piggyback off of that, honestly, being a self-starter, that is a big skill that I don't know technically if that's a soft skill, but it's something that needs to happen. And it's hard for you to be a self-starter if you are on your phone. I've had so many situations where I've had bankers who I've had to tell them like, okay, I need you to either get off your phone or go home. Because for one, it's a safety violation. I don't want your phone out whenever I have people's clients' information right there. I don't know what you're doing with it. So that it's good that you shared that, because that is highly important. I see it a lot with the younger generation, and even my generation as well, who have that habit. It's almost like an addiction.
It's really, yep.
I definitely agree with everything you said about phone use. It's kind of weird that came up, because I had to write a memo to all of our staff on Monday about trying to claw back the amount of phone use we see in the shop. And it's very dangerous in manufacturing, but and it's something I'll be straight up with you. I struggle with myself, and I'm leading the business. I'll find myself, you go to tell somebody happy birthday on Facebook. Next thing you know, you're in a rabbit hole. It is an addiction. It's something that has become almost attached to us at all times, and being able to break that habit is very important. Some other soft skills that I think will never change no matter the industry, no matter how old you are or where you are in your career. If you show up on time and do what you say you're going to do, you will always be successful. I don't care what you go into. That's never going to change. And I think it really does set you apart if you can do those things.
I mean, these were fantastic soft skills, honestly. I mean, thank you. I mean, even the few things you mentioned, I mean, the take good notes. I mean, that applies even schools.
Yeah.
The phone, all you hit on that one, and that's a new thing. I mean, we have heard people getting in interviews and they're using their phones as you're interviewing with the people. I mean, that's just an issue. I want to talk about the 7 soft skill. I mean, the 7 core competencies that we have in here. I'm going to mention them first, but then I'm going to get your opinion on that one. They are information literacy, global cultural awareness, ethical reasoning, critical thinking, communication, creative and artistic expression, scientific inquiry, and mathematical reasoning. So how does these 7 general education core competency support your success or impacts your team's effectiveness in workplace?
So I will take information literacy. I honestly believe that this particular core competency, being good at this, is 90% of the reason why I'm where I'm at. Because in our jobs, they're so big, we're not going to know everything. Laws change, regulations change, trends change, right? Culture changes. It's not important for me to memorize everything. It's important for me to know where to go get the information and how to interpret it once I get there, right? And that's the thing that I teach my team. Don't memorize it. Just know where to go and get it. The thing is that when we hire new graduates, we're not dummies. We know you don't know. We know what we're hiring, right? We don't expect you to know it all. We don't expect you to just be able to walk in and do it. So that's not the goal. The goal is for you to learn and to get experience so that you can move up. And in order for you to do that, you have to know what you don't know and then be able to go, I'm so sorry, I don't know, but I will find out, and then go and know where to find that information. So I think the first one is huge. The other thing is critical thinking. You think critical thinking, everyone should have this. You'd be surprised. So if you don't know if you have critical thinking or not, what I would do is encourage you, have conversation with your professors, with your parents, with your boss if you have a part-time job, because you probably have more of it than you realize. You just don't even know that's what that is. So the projects that you work, I had a problem paying bills and I had to come up with a way to move money, different things like that. So every one of these is so incredibly important in everything that we do. But those 2, and communication, of course, are probably the biggest of all of them that help with your upward mobility if you're looking to be, something more, I think. I don't want to take them all.
I was going to talk a little bit about the cultural and global awareness. You're going to be working with so many people from different backgrounds, whether it's cultural background, political background, religious background. You're going to need to be able to get along, right? And be a team. So putting differences aside, and that is huge, right? That awareness of, hey, not everyone is like me. I'm going to have to find a way to get along with this person. And, it goes back to what you were saying about culture, because culture is so important. You need to, if you don't fit in the culture, you don't believe you fit in that culture, then maybe that's not the place for you. And better you figure that out early, right? Than end up being miserable because you don't like where you are. But that whole global and cultural awareness is another one. And I know we're going through them all pretty quickly, so.
I'll, I like what you said on that, because I'm not sure if any of y'all are familiar with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's usually a program or a more of like a field that they would put in most larger organizations to make sure that people were aware of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. But a lot of companies are getting rid of that now. And because of that, it's really important for you to also not rely on your organization to give you that knowledge, but for you to also do it on your own terms as well. So I believe that that's really important. And then also I'm going to touch on ethical reasoning. Being able to make sound decisions and immoral decisions whenever you're placed in an ethical dilemma. That happens so many times. And I'll just give you a situation with me in banking. I recently had someone at a past organization who was involved in sexual harassment. And I knew this person. I really did not want to make that report because I knew them. But however, what the right thing to do was to make that report, because what they did it wasn't right. It was not the right thing to do. So being able to just put your feelings aside, your own biased feelings, and make those ethical and ethical sound decisions, you're going to have to be able to do that in the workplace, regardless if you're scared or not. I know me, I did not want to go to HR. That's probably I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But HR, whew, when you go there, you open up another can of worms that you just don't want them to, you don't want to be in the middle of it, right? But I will say HR is for your benefit as well. Once you do give that over to them, it's out of your hands. So be able to make those decisions in those ethical dilemmas is important.
Just to piggyback off of the DEI and the ethical reasoning, the thing I think we all have to remember, and it's important really for you to remember, is that business and corporations, even family-owned businesses, are bigger than just one person, right? We have hundreds, if not thousands, of employees that depend on our brand to be successful. So culturally right now, while you look at something and they say, well, that's not illegal. Well, it may not be illegal, but it's not okay to do in my business, right? So you have to remember that if you're at work or you're associated with work, you go to the store at your lunch hour and you've got your uniform on and you get picked up for being a jerk in the parking lot, right? And your just busted picture has you standing on the front page in a Landmark uniform. Yeah, that's not going to go over really well, right? So just what I would say is be cognizant of the fact that your actions have consequences. And while the consequences may not always be legal consequences, they could be professional, they could be personal, because the first thing most hiring managers do to this day is when we hire you, we Google you. I'm going to Google your name. I'm going to look at your social media. I'm going to see what you got going on out there, because I don't need my brand that feeds 300 families to be affected because I made a hire of a person who makes poor decisions. That's, I think, the best way to say that.
And can I add
Yeah.
something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I know we're spending a lot of time on that one, but that one's so important because I've seen recently on social media, and I'm pretty sure y'all probably have too, where if someone does something that it's not right, if they make a racial comment or if they are just discriminating against someone, most people are going to look on your social media and see who your employer is. And they're going to call that employer and they're going to let them know, hey, you employed this person and it's not a good look for your company. So be cautious of everything that you do.
Yeah, and we do tell our managers, hey, don't look at the profile, so you go into the interview unbiased. But it's not always happening, right? It's not always happening.
We always do it after the interview. Before we...
Okay, I'm going to ask the last question. What advice would you give to students or career changers who are unsure about how to align their passion with workforce demand?
I'm so happy you asked this question because you're you're talking to someone who changed their major 3 times while I was at Columbia State alone. Okay. Just for 2 years, I changed my major 3 times. I wanted to work with kids. So I started off as teaching or in the teaching field. And then I changed to sociology because I wanted to work with families. Then I went to philosophy because I was like, hey, I have a religious touch there, but I also want to work in the legal field as well. While I still have all this experience in finance, not sure of. So, but I knew within the financial industry, I would need to, do something else besides at entry level. So I was able to get licensed as well to do life insurance and fixed annuities. So my point is what I'm saying is this: education is forever evolving. You don't only have to just stop at one thing. You're not only limited to one career path in your whole lifespan of work. So feel free to, mix things up. So for instance, I'll tell you with me, I'm also a business owner. I got too many hats. I'm sorry, y'all. But I'm also a business owner as well, where I do balloons. So I do like balloon garlands, things like that. And so I've been called the balloon banker. I'm okay with that. So what I do is whenever I close out a loan for someone, or we open we make a major milestone with their account, I bring them balloons. It also promotes my business as well, but it also allows me to still have fun within my career, in my financial career as well. And then also I wanted to work with kids. So a lot of my job that I do still today is I was just here not that long ago speaking with the Boys and Girls Club. The girls there, helping them with their financial wellness in the future. I do that with a lot of kids every year, especially in April. The month of April is Financial Literacy Month. So this month has been crazy for me. But be able to intertwine those career paths. Like if it's something that you're passionate about doing, don't feel like you have to just only do that and make money with that. If you see that the margins are not, as promising, or there might be not enough job security with something you're wanting to do. For instance, if it's art or visual, anything to do with visual arts, maybe go into digital marketing as well. Like be able to intertwine those things together. So.
Okay, my biggest piece of advice is try all the things. Just because your major is in one thing, you could get into that job and figure out this is not what I want to do. Don't be afraid to say, I don't like this. And the reason I say that is you're going to be so much more successful and better at a job you like. Find your passion, find the thing that makes you wake up in the morning and say, I'm excited to go to work today and do the thing that I do. And it's always easier to do that when you're first coming out of school. The other thing that I will say is if you don't know the difference in the definition between confidence and arrogance, look them up. Because it is very, very important, because they are two different things. You need to be confident. You don't want to be arrogant.
That's right.
So learn to be humble, because especially as either a new graduate or you've been in your job for 25 years and you decide you want to change industries, just remember, you don't know where the bathroom is. So don't walk in being like, I know everything, because then people don't want to help you, right? And then my last thing is, you're going to find yourself in situations where people don't necessarily want to train you. They've trained 15 U's before. They've seen it all. I'm over it. I don't want to deal with it, right? You have to kind of proactively be part of that training. You can't really allow that person to just walk off and leave you. So, stand over their shoulder and watch them for a while. Showing up is so important. If you just show up and you show a desire to learn, that old hat that didn't want to train you 2 days ago is going to start to eventually give you his or her knowledge, right? So don't, if you hang back and you take your phone out and you just sit there while they're doing all the work, well, he didn't want to train you to begin with, right? Because he's salty about things. So now he really is like, they don't want to learn. They don't want to learn, right? So you kind of have to be a little more assertive, if you will, and just be around. You'd be surprised the things that you can learn from just showing up, being around, and asserting yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, try all the things. Try things even that you think you wouldn't like. And don't be afraid to start at the bottom. right? And look at different, just, look at different positions, right? Say, okay, I'm here and I'm washing dishes, but what is the person who's taking the orders doing? What is this other person doing? What are they doing in the home office? Is there a place for me there? Don't be afraid to start where you think it might not be fun, because you never know who you're going to meet and what you're going to learn in that first position, in that base position, because then you'll also have more credibility later when you do move up, because you've been there and you're not asking anyone, once you move up and you're a manager or something like that, you're not asking anyone to do anything that you're not willing to do or have already done before, right? So you get a little bit of credibility with that. So don't be afraid. And it's hard, right? I still am trying to figure out what my passion is. So it's going to be a long time. You might not wake up one day and say, I really like this. So try a lot of things and see what you like. And if you like art, find something where you can use a little bit of your passion along with it, or just do two things at the same time until one of them is strong enough to carry you.
I think, number one, all these answers were great. And one common denominator between all of us is that what we started out doing isn't what we're doing today. So really the best thing you can do is give yourself options, build a strong foundation. So as you grow and as you get older, your thought patterns change, your passions could change. Give yourself options to go to what opportunities are in front of you. So that's the way I would put it.
I want to just end with one little story based on what you said, because no matter where you start your job, there was this one kid who was in a store where they will, as the people will come and shop, he will bag their stuff into the, bag that they have. And what he did was at night, he would just write some nice comment, like word of the day or something like that, and he started putting them in the bag. And people start seeing that. And after a while, people actually went to the line that he was bagging their stuff. So that just tell you that exactly what you said. No matter where you start, what you just said, look around, learn everything, but at the same time, make it fun, make it pleasant, things like that. So, well, I want to thank you. Thank you all this was fantastic. I learned so much, and thank you for everything you said. Now I want to see if we have any questions. Is that correct? Or if there are any questions that you guys may ask. I think we lost a lot of people, but just in case, like the lunch hour of the classes might have started. Anybody has any questions that you want to ask the panel?
We'd like to thank Shab and Julie and Jake and Keandra and our co-hosts. Let's put our hands together. This was a wonderful program. And thank each of you, our listening audience, for joining us today. That ends our program.